let you guys know that Redemption Train was based on a book that I published in 2014 titled Saving Myself from Me. And so in the teaser that the little clip we showed from the teaser earlier, those two girls that you saw are the two girls that are in Saving Myself from Me. But Redemption Train is about more than just those two girls. It's about their mothers as well. Because one of the things that I've learned while working with women and even in my own personal life is that girls who haven't healed become women who haven't healed. And speaking of women who have healed, as Ms. K. Scott mentioned earlier, she is a domestic violence survivor. And K. Scott, I want to ask you just a few questions, not a lot, just to hear a little bit about your journey, if that's okay with you.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So the first question is, how long were you in a relationship with your ex-boyfriend?
It was just a little over a year, but I'll say we jumped in head first. We worked at the same place. We both moved to Atlanta, Georgia, in hopes of starting a career in the entertainment industry. So we had that commonality. And so because of that, we felt we were meant to be, like we're going to be this power couple. And yeah, we jumped in head first, literally moved in together, I would say after 6 months. And that was the first wrong move on my part.
The next question is, describe how your relationship was when you first started dating him.
Well, like I said, we jumped in head first because we were both just very ambitious. Atlanta was really on the brink of becoming what it is today. So we were really just out there, just trying to make a name for ourselves, just networking. So it started off really good. But again, we jumped in head first. And so we took on the role of becoming serious, like really, really quick, like without really getting to know each other, more specifically me getting to know like all aspects of him. It was my first time living on my own, just moving from Texas, trying to be, on my grown woman stuff. I had never, for one, been in a really serious relationship, let alone letting someone live with me. And yeah, we jumped in head first. I'll say like some of my friends were against it. And it made me, when Ms. Pelias was speaking, when she was saying how you don't, try to tell someone to get out, I feel like some of my friends being against it kind of forced me into it even more, because it was like, oh, y'all are just hating, I'm going to prove you wrong. And I jumped in even further, only to find out he was a complete nut.
You really just taught me something right then when both of y'all, you and Miss Martha, whenever you both said, don't tell them not to move forward. That's something that I never even considered not to do. So I'm really glad that I learned that today. The next question is, before your relationship took a turn, what red flags do you remember seeing?
I would say some of the biggest ones were control. He definitely wanted to control every aspect of my life. Even though I was like the breadwinner, I was the one because he ended up, like I said, we had worked together, but he ended up losing his job. So that's what made me let him move in with me. I was moving up in the company. But even though I was the breadwinner, he just always wanted to control everything from my money to where I was going. Another big one was isolation. Those same friends that were telling me, something's not right about him, we're not feeling him. He little by little began to put things in my head about them, like, oh, your friends don't care about you. Look, you moved here from Texas. They're not even checking up on you. And so it, before I knew, looking back, I was in this bubble where it was just me and him. And I had this me and you against the world mentality to where, once things progressed and he became abusive, I didn't have anyone to reach out to because I was isolated in my own little bubble with him.
That makes sense. Was your mental health negatively affected? If so, how?
Absolutely. One thing I noticed little by little, he not aside from the physical abuse, he was very verbally and emotionally abusive. For me, my love language is words. So I feel, and I would always make a joke like, I feel in some ways verbal abuse is worse than physical abuse, because you can get over the physical, but when people speak things over you, and he would say things like, you're not all that. Because when I tell you I was making connections, I was out here meeting producers, people from record labels and all that. I would come back and share, my stories and things, and he would just belittle me like, oh, you think you're all that? You're not this, you're not that. So he literally broke me down to where I literally started believing these things. So even after getting out of the situation, thank God that I did, the healing process just took a very long time. I would say it was like maybe a good 6 to 7 years before I was able to get into another relationship. I had to go to counseling. and really build myself back up, because he had completely tore me down, and I started believing everything that he told me in such a little time.
Okay. And then was there anything else you did in addition to counseling that helped your mental health as you built yourself back up?
I would say, of course, my faith in God. That I remember before getting out, that was my one vow to God. When I really saw, like, when it was a final straw, I would say the first time he had been physical, but he had never hit me. But it was the first time that he, like, literally hit me in my face. That I don't know if that was the light of God that he knocked into me, but I saw a light and I was like, okay, I got to get out of here. Um, and I made a vow to God. I said, God, if you get me out of here alive, I promise when I get back home, I will rededicate my life to you. I will do everything I need to do. So when I got back here to San Antonio, I got committed to church. I started serving. I did everything and totally surrendered my life to God. And that really helped me as well, tremendously.
Okay. My last question is, if you could tell women who are currently in a physically abusive relationship one thing, what would you tell them?
Oh, so this is a tough one, but as Ms. Polias was talking, things were just coming to me.
You can say more
Of
than one
course,
thing if you like.
huh?
You can say more than one thing if you like.
Okay, yeah, I had to write some stuff down because it was like things were just coming. But it's so cliche. Everyone says get out. That definitely is not the answer, because if once you're in it, if you could easily just get out, you would get out. I mean, that's a given, and it's so easier said than done. So I would say some of the most important things is, for one, it's not your fault. I know a lot of abusers have the tendency to make you feel like, oh, well, if you wouldn't have did this, I wouldn't have slapped you, or like you're the reason that they are abusive. So I would say, no, nothing that you have not done anything to deserve the abuse. It's not your fault. No matter what they say, it's not your fault. Also, you don't deserve the abuse. Like it was said earlier, love, there should be no fear in love. If that is a situation you're in, you again do not deserve to be in that situation. You are worth it. You were created for a purpose. You were not meant to be anyone's punching bag, or anyone to download their trauma and project their trauma onto you. So you do not deserve the abuse. And then also, you are worth more. You are worth the best. You deserve to experience love on a true level. You deserve to have peace in your life. You deserve to have a fulfilling life. And if the partner that you're with is not bringing that to you, then you are worth more. Don't ever settle for less, because you are worth more. One last thing I would also say is, abuse doesn't go away. I mean, yes, I do believe people can change, like it was said earlier, but the thing about abusive people, it evolves. It starts off, like for me, it started off with a simple, in your face shouting match. Then it progressed to a shoving match until he finally hit me. Thank God, I got out at that moment. But for so many people, they don't get out at that moment. They stay in it. So it evolves and evolves and evolves. And yes, people can change, but they have to be willing to admit that they have an issue, for one, and then be willing to go and get that help. Most abusers aren't willing to do that. So if you're with someone that's not willing to do that, and it evolves and evolves, what does it eventually evolve to? You not being here anymore. So don't sit back and wait and hoping that it's just going to go away. It's not going to go away.
Okay, Scott, I just want to tell you, thank you very much for sharing your experiences. I believe that there's healing in your words. And I believe that there are women that are going to watch this video. It may not be a woman that's on here right now, maybe someone that catches the replay of it, but there is someone who's going to find freedom because of your courage to share your experiences. So thank you so very much for sharing that. Thank you for watching. Now go check out part 3 of Health Talks, a discussion on domestic violence and mental health, as we interview Kevin Pope, the director of the Redemption Train teaser, and the lead actresses, Alacia Brown and Jada Cherie.